This is episode 170 of the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. Welcome to episode 170 of the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today I have Steve Manicom on the show, and Steve was on the show way back at episode 3, and he was crushing it back then, still crushing it now. Steve's an interesting guy, and I've always known him as a guy who could find a deal. He's a guy that's not afraid to try something that is probably out of his league at the moment, but he's willing to learn, and he comes through. I mean, anytime he gets into these projects, he finds a way to come through and make it happen. And, I've done some of the same, but I'm certainly inspired by a lot of what he's done and his willingness to take calculated risks and win. So in this episode, we talk about a 16-unit building that he's creating. He bought an old newspaper building in St. Thomas, and he's turning it into a 16-unit residential property. And beyond that, we also talk about some new construction that he's done in the London area, where he's built brand new houses, including the house he's living in, 4,200 square feet, did a self-build on that. So again, not a guy that's afraid to take risks. He's willing to put his money where his mouth is and take action on what he believes in. A really cool case study that we went through with that newspaper building. I'm confident you're going to enjoy this episode. Always good catching up with Steve and seeing how the guy is just so calm, cool, and collected despite everything that he's doing. So before we get into this episode, I want to encourage you to go right back to the beginning of this show if you're new to real estate investing or new to this podcast. There's so many great guests that have been on, and I'm confident you'll find a lot of value in that. And if you wouldn't mind, it just really helps the show to grow if you would take the time to leave a 5-star review and rating for Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you listen on. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell just to help more people find the show. And go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Thanks so much for tuning in yet again. Let's jump into episode 170 with Steve Manicom. Hello and welcome to the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. I have on the show today the same guy from episode 3. So Steve Manicom, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. Thank you.
Talking about this for a long time. So this one we're doing virtual. Last one you were here face to face, but you've done a lot. You're always doing a lot. You're one of those guys that doesn't really say a lot about what you're doing. You just quietly do it. And it's usually pretty cool stuff. I recognize you as a guy that's not afraid to take on a challenge, not afraid to do something you haven't done before, or that other people typically wouldn't. So one of the recent things would be you built your own house. And I know we talked a little bit about that before.
Yeah, you can see it behind me.
Yeah, and you do nice work. So why don't we start off with what you've been up to? Like I think right around the time we interviewed you, or we did our first interview, you were talking about a St. Thomas triplex you did. I think you sold that one, maybe not. But then most importantly, you had the newspaper building that you had bought, which yes. I walked through with you, and I think that was going to be something like 20 units you were turning it into.
16.
Okay.
16, yeah.
Yeah, so it's super cool. And I think the price you got it for back then would probably make that a pretty lucrative project now.
Yeah, that was like, I got a 17,000 square foot building for $413,000.
Yeah, that's insane. Now, of course, you've had to carry that for many years. Like, what was your financing structure on that one? Did you borrow private money? Paid cash for
it, yeah.
Yeah, because that's not the type you want to sit and burn on for years and years while you get approvals.
I guess I say we, but it's, there was stuff that we had, I had some money coming in from an investor, just one on that deal. And we had to do some remediation for the project. And that was one thing that made the project take a little bit longer to get started. But we are into it now and hoping to finish up in the fall.
Yeah. So you're saying physical construction of the units has started?
Yes. Yeah. We're just starting the framing stage right now.
Okay. Are you framing with metal studs because of the cost of lumber?
Yeah, I think for the demising walls. And then I think we're going to use some lumber in for the bedrooms and stuff like that. We got a good price on it, actually. So
yeah, you did okay.
When you're buying enough of it, they seem to treat you a little bit better.
Yeah, so you're paying only maybe $12 for a 2x4 instead of.
I'm not building it per se, so I'm not 100% sure, but I know the builder was happy with what the price was versus doing metal.
Yeah. Now I remember like back in 2019 when we were originally talking about this, like you were looking at some prices to build it that you weren't so happy with. Did
Yes.
did it just come around that now those prices work because the market's gone up, or did you end up finding?
They would, but if you were to go get those requoted today, they'd probably be even more money.
Yeah.
When I had the building quoted to do construction back then,
Mhm.
I think it was like $1 million difference between one contractor and the next. And
Yeah.
when you actually break down those numbers, the company was making $1 million profit. They weren't,
Yeah.
spending more money or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying the contractor's company was just making more
Yeah,
money. Yeah.
exactly. So what I
Yeah.
did was I hired a construction company, but I paid them a fee. So they're getting a fee, and it's an open book build,
Yeah.
kind
So
of with a fixed price.
is it a percentage of cost that you're doing?
Not even. No, they get a flat
Just a
rate.
flat fee
Yep,
regardless of what it costs, and it's all open book.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I do assist the builder with everything that I can as far as quoting, working with suppliers, if I need to, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely am a busy liaison between the architect and the builder, and just making sure like we are on point with what we need to be doing there. Because when you're taking a building that's already existing and you're tearing it apart to revamp it to something new, there are surprises that come up, and there are things that
Mm-hmm.
are going to happen. So, for example, the sewage that runs through the building, the way that the sewage was laid next to the water, the pipes are in a bad spot. So when we run all our new plumbing for the units, they run right into them. So what we're gonna have to do is pour a 6-inch slab and a pretty significant size to raise up the floor so that the pipes don't intersect. So
Oh,
that
man.
was something like, for example, I went and I found the guy that is going to pour that foundation for us. Nice $29,000 surprise we had.
Yeah, but in a project like that, it's almost like you should have a line item for a $29,000
Yeah,
surprise.
you definitely have a contingency, that's for sure. We have one set up for that stuff, but it sucks when it does happen. You're
Yeah.
not expecting it, but
So so you said you bought this for how much? 400 and
413,000.
that's just wild.
Yeah.
People can't buy a bungalow for that.
Remember when you were looking at that other building that was kitty corner to it, and you were thinking of buying it? It was office buildings and you were going to turn it into units.
Yeah.
So it was around that time that I had my eyes on it,
Yeah.
and put in an offer not too long after.
Yeah. That was such a cool project. And you know what? I feel like most people would talk themselves out of that deal, but I find you find a way to talk yourselves into deals. You talk yourself into deals.
Yeah, I do. I try to look at stuff like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Well, I'm buying 17,000 square feet for 413 grand. And there's multiple things I could do with it. If I really had to, I could rent it out as office space and make
Mhm.
money. So
Yeah.
there was a different exit strategy.
Right. Yeah. You had a couple of different ways that you could monetize or exit as
Exactly.
needed. Yeah. What did do you remember what the remediation cost on that one?
I think it was around 160,000.
Yeah. So anyone who doesn't know what that means, remediation is basically cleanup of contaminants.
Yes, we had a lot of testing. We had to do drilling a lot of holes, testing wells, and then there's a lot of soil removal all through the property.
So you had to remove soil from outside or anything inside as well. Did you have to dig out any floor?
Nothing inside. Thankfully, it was clean. And this building, I think, was built in the 1940s. So prior to it being erected, that was a coal yard. So there was a lot of minerals and stuff that the city just didn't like in the ground. But when they did dig the building, they dug it all out. So what was under the building was clean. Thank God.
Yeah. Okay, so inside the building is good, but out in the parking lot, that's where you were getting into that. So this is one of those things where you're doing phase 1 environmental, phase 2,
Yep.
I'm guessing phase 3
and phase 3. Yes.
Yeah, and that includes the remediation portion.
Yeah.
And okay, so they tested in the remediation and gave you all clear.
Yeah, we got the all clear, and that was something that we were just waiting for, and we've got it, and the permit was approved right when we had that at the end.
Okay. And this was all part of the permitting process. Did they take you through like a site plan application to do what you wanted to do to that building, to take it from commercial use office building to residential units?
So when I was looking at purchasing the property prior to me putting an offer, I did look at the zoning and stuff, and it did fall into category where it was zoned for apartments, being the location it was in. So I didn't have to do a zoning change or
No
anything like
zoning
that.
change, right? But
But
still no site plan? They didn't make you go through that process where they want to dissect everything you're going to do and
did
tell
they
you how to
do?
do it?
We had, yeah, like I had a meeting with the city. I'm just trying to remember. It was so long ago. We had a meeting. We kind of went over everything we were going to do the project. And one of the things I had to do was a remediation, even though we weren't doing anything outside. We weren't erecting any
Yeah.
structures. They made me clean up the property because it was going to be residential use.
Right. Yeah.
So just because we were changing what the current use was, that's why I had to clean it up.
Yeah. But that, and I can see the logic in that. Obviously you don't want to, a property that could cause harm, but I doubt any of that would have caused harm anyway. But
oh yeah.
but hey, it is what it is. So 160 in remediation. Did you have carrying costs beyond taxes, or was it mainly just taxes? Like, or were you burning
taxes?
interest?
I had utilities for a period of time, and then I realized like we don't really need anything in the building, so I shut those off. I think 3 months after possession, and turned off gas, water. Kept hydro because we had security cameras and stuff. But
yeah. So over the, I guess it's been what, 3 years? What would you say you're into it for carrying costs?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, are we talking 10, 20 grand, 30 grand, something like that?
we're over 100.
Over 100
sure.
in carrying. Yeah.
Yeah. If you add everything up, you're probably over 100.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
And then now you're into the construction. So what's the rest? So we've kind of gone through remediation and carrying. What's the remainder of this to bring you to something that's saleable? And I'm guessing you're intending to condo these and sell them, or you're intending to just rent them out and keep it?
Going to condo them, but then rent them out, because I guess when they're condoed, you're allowed to have no pets and stuff like that. So we are making, I guess, higher end units. They're going to have really nice floors, granite countertops, nice quality kitchens, lighting fixtures. So we do want like good tenants in there, and then we want people to take care of the property. So if we condo them, we're going to have a little bit more control. They're not going to be allowed to hang flags in the windows. So we're going to have to keep some prestige about the property, I guess you could say.
Yeah, a condo gives you flexibility too, right? I think you get a little bit of a tax break from a
that's true. It's a little bit
standpoint.
You're right.
Yeah. And then you'll have certainly in an appraiser's eyes, you have way more flexibility in terms of how you can sell it.
Yes.
Because now you can sell individual units.
Yes.
Of course, you got to do like a reserve fund study and figure out, how much you got to set up the condo corporation and do all that. But just having the status obviously will help you and be beneficial. I think that nowadays, I don't hear too many people trying to do what you're doing without trying to condo it, unless they're specifically told that they can't, or they're not allowed, or whatever. Okay, so to take you to that point, what do you figure you're in for like the construction and condoing process?
I'll give you some rough numbers because I don't want to divulge all the interest in the property. So what I can say is probably just over $1 million to get it to the point of starting construction.
Okay.
And then you're going to have another $3 million for construction, say.
Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly. So we're talking about 4 million minus the what we've already talked about, and then anything else we want to add in there?
No, that'll be finished up to that point. Yeah.
Okay. So we're So basically 4 million is going to be your cost all in.
Yeah.
Well, plus the purchase, or that included the purchase?
That will include the purchase.
Oh, okay. So let's just we'll just call that a little bit less. So about 3.3 million ish to do the construction and soft costs and such. Okay. So you're 4 million in, and what do you figure when you're done and they're condoed? What do you figure that's worth?
It's probably going to be around 5.5 million.
Cool. Now, you are planning on refinancing, I guess, and try and go for that 75% when you get to that point?
Well, actually, we can probably go up to 90%, depending how it's structured. I guess there's CMHC guaranteed loans we can get that are really low, but I'm not sure.
CMHC for that, you have to be under market rent. I'm pretty sure, like 30% or something.
We don't have that. We don't have it solidified yet, but
Yeah.
I know we can do at least 80,
85, right?
yeah, 80, 85, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So what are you figuring your average rent per unit would be?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So when we started the project, a 1 bedroom was probably going to be like $1,000, and now we're probably going to be in the ballpark of like 13 to 1400, and we only have 4 of them, and the rest are 2 bedrooms. And we might even be able to get 2,000
For those.
for a 2 bedroom, because we got in-suite laundry, high
Yeah.
ceilings,
Oh
so
yeah, you guys might surprise yourselves. I mean,
yeah,
time
I
will
think
tell.
so. Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah.
I just started actually doing the advertising for the project, so we are going to start taking applicants in the next couple of weeks, and for the next 6 months, probably just sort that out and get people lined up for each unit, because there's only 16, so they're going to
Yeah.
go quick.
Yeah, it'll go quick. I mean, that's not small. 16 isn't small. That's really cool. That's a cool project. So if it's 16, say times like 1,800 on average between them,
Yeah,
that'd be 28,800 a month.
yeah,
800. So you're 345,000 a year in gross rents. Do you have
yeah.
any sort of indication of where your operating expenses will be?
Well,
I mean, I
I was
guess
just going to say, I think the taxes are around 30,000.
they will be once it's done.
Yeah, 28, 30 grand, I think. That, and you probably have a
Yeah.
mortgage calculator there.
Yeah, I'll work through that. Did you get a quote on insurance for when it's done?
I did. I want to say it was like 300 a month, 300 or 400 a month, maybe.
How is that possible? 300 or 400 a month for a 16 flex?
Well, wait a sec. That was 2 years ago. So that was when I first bought it.
Yeah, it's not.
So I guess all these prices are going to change because we've had this massive inflation. So
I'm going to say you're at least 10 grand a year, but if you want full coverage,
well,
I'm sure you
Andrew,
can
my construction insurance is 10 grand a year. So it's got to be a lot cheaper than that. It has to be.
That's wild, man. I mean, I'm paying 3 grand for a duplex, so I don't know how you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying, I don't think it'll be 10 grand though, because my construction insurance is always more, right?
Generally speaking, but insurance is such an apples to apples game. Like you really do have to.
My duplex is like, no, sorry, my triplex is 140 a month.
Yeah, I bet you like it depends. Like if you want full replacement instead of that declining coverage, like a lot of people have a declining coverage where over, and I don't know what it's called, so I might be butchering this. So it just depends on what you want. So let's just say hypothetically, for argument's sake, it's 10 grand. I'm sure there's still meat on the bone here, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
For maintenance, I'm going to just put 5% because I think that's very reasonable. That's still 17 grand a year. That's plenty of money to take care of the odds and ends on the property, I think. Mm-hmm. Utilities wise, you'll just be paying for the common, I'm suspecting, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So every separate water meters, gas meters, or do you have a centralized building heat?
There's like a house meter, and I think there's going to be like a house gas. So it'll have a furnace for the corridor.
Okay, but everyone has their own heat source.
Everybody has their own. Yep, they have their own
mini splits or something.
No, they're proper furnaces. They're small, but they're proper furnaces.
Okay.
AC units as well.
So you're just like paying for the hallway lighting and heat, and then
that's right.
And then any building water, I guess, probably for the maintenance room or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to water the grass, we'll have that accessible.
So you're probably like $5 grand a year in utilities, something like that. You think for the whole building? Well, plus you got to keep in mind that when a tenant leaves, if you ever have vacancy, you're paying for the utilities then too. But it's not a big number. It's probably okay.
Yeah, I would say at least 6,000.
Okay, we'll call it 6
just to be safe, because it is LED lighting. Like I built this house behind me, and I can't believe how cheap my housing electricity is with the LED stuff. It's incredible.
What is your electrical bill there? Curiosity.
So my monthly bill for January was $123, and that included water, and water.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, then this house is very well insulated. It's all LED lighting.
Well, plus your furnace is probably super high efficiency too.
High efficiency furnace. Yeah.
Yeah. The blowers on the furnaces use a lot of electricity. So, okay. So management wise, are you going to be paying a super, somebody part-time, or are you going to pay a management company?
We'll have a super probably, right? We'll have a super on site, just to kind of, keep the place clean weekly. But yeah, probably a management company to kind of just be there for phone calls if needed.
Probably like 4% maybe we'll budget for management. Because once you get into the higher number of units, I feel like you can do a bit better on management.
Yeah.
But it's not a big number. It's probably like 4% maybe we'll budget for management. Because once you get into the higher number of units, I feel like you can do a bit better on price because they're
Yeah.
getting a whole package there, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you think you'll pay that much, or more or
What
less?
does that work? What does that work out to be dollar
4% would
amount?
work out to be just shy of 14 grand a year.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that much, Andrew. I think it'll be under 1,000 a month.
Do you think so? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, and I think again, I think that's possible once you get into the bigger number of units.
I would say around $500 or $600 a month, just from
Yeah,
different people I've talked to, somewhere around there.
I'll leave it at 3%, and we'll see how the numbers shake out. What's the landscaping and snow removal budget there?
That is going to be landscaping. Gosh, you got weekly cuts there, so you're probably $100 a week
Yeah.
for that. And then snow removal is a variable. You might be able to answer that better than I am.
Generally speaking, you're gonna want to have a contract for that. But I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
like
trying
a
to think.
fixed
You're
price.
pretty big parking lot there. Like everybody's got 2 parking spots, probably, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, probably
easily
everyone.
even more than
Yeah.
2.
There's going to be extra, so there'll be a room.
Yeah. So yeah, room to
I
store
know
your
there's
snow.
houses they can do $500-$600 for the season, like a fixed price. So I'm not sure what this would be, to
No,
be
it wouldn't be.
completely
You
honest.
wouldn't be that cheap. I
No,
think that
it'd be more, but
if we wanted to build both in for the year, I don't know. I feel like you could get away with like 12 grand for lands, like the full year landscaping and snow removal, something like
yeah.
that. It might be cheaper. I'm just going to throw that number down off the top of my head. That one's the one that you would want to quote a bit more because I've seen such a range. Like on a duplex, I've had $100 a month and trying to push the cuts as far apart as possible. And that included snow as well. But then again, I on the build that I'm doing out in Sarnia area, we're paying just $550 every time it snows, which is insane. We had like months of $5,000, like full month.
Holy
like
crap.
$5,000 a month for like 4 months. And
Wow.
it was a fairly large area to clear, in fairness. So,
But it adds up, eh?
it certainly does. It certainly does. So, what else? I mean, garbage removal. You think your super is going to handle that? Like, and is
The garbage
super
is actually tenants take out their own garbage where the bin's going to be on site. So they'll be
Yeah.
doing
Okay.
that.
So you've got a miscellaneous. Well, we're gonna want to build in something for your bin and disposal, like a couple $100 a month, I guess, for that, and then a miscellaneous budget of like 5 grand probably.
Sure.
So 5 grand. So
the builder gets to warranty everything for the first year, so that's nice.
yeah. So I'm going to say we're 300 a month for that bin. I don't even know if that's exactly where we'd be. Those little 8-yard bins.
Yeah.
The problem I find is you think that you say tenants will, but then do they take out their garbage? That's the part that you'll find out, right? If they actually do end up doing that stuff. But let's keep moving through. So you're going to go ahead and shoot for the 85% financing on, will you do like a 40-year AM?
Yeah, 40-year AM, and I think it's going to be 2% around there.
Wow, interest rates are going up pretty aggressively
they are,
right
so
now.
we'll see where they end up.
Let's call it 3%. I mean, even 3.5 with CMHC, just they're predicting like another big hike for the next.
A year ago, I could get under a 2% with CMHC back loan.
Yeah.
So 3.5 is probably a little high.
Well, no, but we just went up 50 basis points, and before that it was 25 basis points, and we're expecting another one in June. So that's why.
I'll probably have something locked in the next couple months, but
yeah, well, you're going to want to start that process early because CMHC takes a long time.
Absolutely.
But let's just say, so hypothetically, your value's $5.5 million. You can get the 85%. And they don't trim you back. A lot of times they do trim you back because they don't agree with your value. But if you were to do that, then you would be getting, let's just see, $675,000 back. So you'd have $675 in your pocket to use on another deal, and you'd still be cash flowing $3 grand a month on the property. Yeah. And if you want,
and if I was going to say, if we have any surprises with those rents, if we're able to get those up any more, that that's going to make that number
dollar for dollar, right? Then you're dollar for dollar. So and I think that you probably can, and we're especially going to see this happening because people just can't afford to buy. They're going to rent.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're going to see rents go down. I think we're going to see them keep going up to try and match all the increase in property values over the last while. So I could easily see those rents going up, and you're starting to average $2 grand. And then, so if you add $2,000 times 16, that's an extra, what are we looking at? A lot.
Yeah, it is.
Well, an extra $200 times 16, right? If we do that, that's an extra 3,200. So even if you can boost rents $200 per unit, that's an extra $32, doubling your cash flow. This is one of those cool ones where it's not going to be a grand slam necessarily right off the bat for cash flow, although it is for a perfect BRRRR and owning a really awesome asset. But it'll be the as rents go up and you've got such cheap money.
That's right.
Do you know how long you can lock it in for with a commercial loan, CMHC? Can you lock it in for 10 years?
No, I haven't had that discussion just yet.
Because the way things are going, it kind of feels like that would be a good idea if you could.
Yes.
Like down in the States, you can lock in for 30 years.
That's nice, eh? That's beauty.
Well, then you're really hedged, right? Because if rates, because I feel like we're setting ourselves up for Canada, like just like the 80s, where they eventually had to go to the high teens interest rates because inflation was so bad. Obviously, inflation is way underreported right now. Like if we had honest reporting of inflation, it'd probably be 20% plus.
I was going to say 20% or more.
Well, all you have to really do is look at how much money supply has increased in 1 year. Forget about inflation. Look at how much money supply, because even if inflation doesn't translate in that direct year, it will translate. So that's a more honest figure. So this is what I'm saying. If you could lock in longer, really do hedge yourself against future increases, because eventually when they can't pretend that the inflation isn't there anymore, then they start doing these big hikes. And I don't know where we're going with that, but I did lock in a couple of my mortgages right as this was happening. I'm like, okay, good time to lock in with all the inflation coming.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we're going anywhere good with the way things are,
Yeah, so I'm figuring stuff out on the US side, if I'll be able to, as what they consider a foreign national, to lock in for more than 5 years, because they seem to want to do 5 years for a foreign national. But I haven't dug in nearly enough for a more conventional longer term loan. There are some even for a foreign national where they'll do a 30-year at, like, say, 5%. In my mind, a 30-year rate at 5% is cheap. That's real cheap.
Are you going to be getting a work visa down there, Andrew?
Investor visa.
Investor visa. Okay.
Yeah, E2 investor visa.
Yeah, right on.
That's the process I've started. It's still a work in progress. It's mainly just time. Like I've had the consultations, I've set up the process. It's literally just time to fill out the business plan, because I could have my assistant help with it, but there's only so much she can do when she's not as familiar with my business plan as I am, right? So,
I think if you invest 1.8 million, you get a green card as a Canadian.
Yeah, there are some other programs that
stuff like that.
Yeah, there are a few things you can do. Like there's the official policy of what you can get or what you need to invest, and then there's the gray area of what they'll actually approve. Like there are people who get approved for an investor visa with like a $50,000 investment, and then there are others who will invest 500 and not get approved. So it's a lot to do with what you're doing.
You want to find the attorney that knows what they're doing, who's had a lot of successful
and I feel like I found that, and then you will hear things from other ones, right? They all have their own like kind of bias and take on things, and it's interesting to hear. I'll talk to some other people working with other attorneys and kind of hear their take. And I know I'm on the right track. There's no completely easy way to do it. When we were down in Florida,
I'm going to be right there behind you.
Yeah,
whether it's Florida or Texas, I'm going to start moving some money down there.
Yeah, it's a really smart idea. So we actually ran into a guy. So Carmen, I was down in Florida. Carmen, my mother-in-law, for anyone wondering, she was just looking to buy a trailer, and this guy was selling a trailer, truck, lawnmower, weed eater, like leaf blower, everything, and it all had never been used. And she starts talking like, "Why are you selling all this stuff that's never been used, except for like the truck was used, but all the other equipment was new, even the trailer?" Right. And he's like, "Oh, I used it for my visa application." And now that I'm approved, I don't need it anymore. And
Sneaky.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure they check up on that. So that you just sold everything right after you got approved.
I think because being the developer here, I think if I go down there and do the same thing, that will get me a visa from the stuff I've read. Because if you are hiring people, you're investing, you can't buy a house and live in it and say, "Hey, I'm developing." You have to buy land and actually do projects. So
that's my take on it too. They are not going to go and give an investor visa for somebody just buying a few rental properties. Even if you had 10,
You have
there's
to
a good
manage them
chance they
though.
won't.
If it's a management company,
Yes.
yes,
So
you'll
there
get
you
it.
go. So now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
if you're doing active management of 10, I don't even think that'd get you approved, because 10, they'd still say, wow, that's still relatively passive. But I'm not sure if it was this lawyer or another one that said it to me, but he knew of a guy that had just 4 Airbnbs, and that was enough.
That's it,
Just
eh?
running and
Wow.
managing 4. Now this is a while back, so it doesn't mean that would work again. But
Yeah.
so
And who
my
knows how
plan
strict they are.
for him, like, he's like, okay, how much money are you bringing down? And we got into some numbers. Initially, he wasn't too keen on me doing it for real estate. He's like, just,
Yeah.
buy a popsicle stand or something. Like, he wanted me to do something else. I'm like, no, I don't really want to do
Get
any
a
of that.
dry cleaner place.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I gave him my pitch. I'm like, look, I'm building, I'm going to rent, I'm going to Airbnb. And he's like, well, okay. He's like, let's get a property management company in there as well. Get your realtor license so that you can do the property management, and then get your broker license. And he kind of just, we started theorizing about how we could put it together. So my next step is to kind of get him something on paper, and
Yeah.
we'll go. So yeah, that might morph, that might change a bit. And again, the key's going off of what he knows gets applied, right? So he's got his track record of what's been working, what's not been working. And he's just saying, okay, based on my experience, this is probably the angle we should take. And he did say, we should definitely have in your plan that you're going to have like 4 or 5 employees around the year 5.
You've started investing. And then from the point you started investing, how long till you actually submit the documents?
Well, I mean, I don't have to do it at any time. Like, and there's nothing I'm doing that I need an E2 visa for right now.
But doesn't it get you a residency card? Like, you want to get a residency card, right?
Yeah. So that's the angle, right? Like,
that's what you want.
If you get the visa, then you can get a social security number and you can stay in the US full time, right?
Yeah. Every 2 years, I think you have to renew it.
Depends. So the guy that sold all his stuff, he has a 10-year visa. I hear of Canadians getting 5-year visas. That's more common.
Okay.
But some as little as 2. So you don't necessarily get the 5. Yeah. So that's something to consider. I think the less convinced they are in your plan, probably the shorter your E2 would be. But I mean, I have no desire to pull what I'm doing out of there. I intend to grow what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
And things are finally moving. We've got we're into the ground on the first one, and I got the permit on the next one. So money's flowing, tools are arriving on site.
Oh yeah, I've been watching your Instagram stories. It's looking pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Not as big in scale as what you've done, but yeah, let's dive into some of the rest of it. So this house that you built, I mean, again, very true Steve style to just say, whatever, it can't be that hard. Let's build a house.
Well, we let's be honest, we had a couple phone calls and I was like, all right, Andrew, you've done this before. What happens at this stage? And we kind of talked about it. And I think I got a little bit of confidence, watching you take that step before me. I kind of took the step before you, buying a bunch of rentals, and then you started getting to the building a bit more than I did. And so, yeah, you gave me a little bit of confidence in that. And yeah, behind me is my home, and it's mid-century modern style. It will be, I will show everybody eventually. It'll make its way to YouTube. For those of you that want to check some videos out on there during the construction of it, it's Steve Manicom, the YouTube channel. And Aaron, my business partner, and we started documenting a bit of the process on building and what all was going on, because it's a very unique lot. It's private. It backs onto a ravine, and I came in and built a flat roof, mid-century modern style house with incredible views from every room.
Okay, so this is in the London area, we'll call it.
Yep.
And what did you buy the lots for? Just give me an idea. I know you bought a couple in this area.
Yeah. So what happened was I sold my house and I was looking for another project, and there was actually a lot that was listed for sale. People always tell you can't get an MLS deal. Well, you always can get MLS deals. You don't need to go private all the time. And there was a lot that was sitting there for a long time. No one had bought it. And when I started doing some research on it, it was actually 2 lots they had listed as 1. So I put in an offer, ended up getting both lots for $100,000 each, $100,000. And this was in 2018, I think, late 2018. Because I think I closed in 2019. So to get a lot today, you're probably looking at $300,000-400,000. If not, in the certain areas of London, you'd be up towards of 800,000 for certain lots.
Okay.
Like I know if you took this lot and put it, say near downtown, you would pay $800,000 for this lot. So it just depends on where it is, right? So, you always say you make your money going in. So I bought at 100 grand, and that was a good deal back then. And then it just it took a little bit of time before I was ready to start this project.
Yeah. And you're on well and septic there?
No, municipal services.
Or you're on municipal services?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's awesome. And how big is the lot?
That is a great question, because it's irregular shaped. It's a triangle.
Okay.
So I'm not even sure actually how many square feet it is, Andrew, but the house is about 4,200 square feet, including the basement. And
That's
then
wild.
plus 2 upper balconies that are pretty large. They're probably 15 by 20.
So what did you end up spending on the build?
So yeah, I did really great on this. So the lot was 100 grand, and then the build cost was about 700,000.
That's insane that you were able to do it for that price.
I think when we talked about it, I was asking you what I could do it for per square foot, and it's definitely, I think it's under 200, isn't it?
So your $700,000 build for 4,200 square feet, 166. Yeah. I mean, that was right in the ballpark of doable, but that's not doing nice finishes typically.
And as you can see, I did nice finishes.
It looks great. Yeah, it looks great from what I can see. I mean, that looks like an engineered hardwood. We got
engineered hardwood. Windows, like there's windows everywhere.
Everywhere, brick on the outside. Yeah. You've found a way to get good deals. You've also been that
Absolutely.
guy. That's one of
the exterior of this house is the whole second floor is cedar. You will not see a house with more cedar on it than mine. I did the whole thing, the soffits, everything. I just wanted that really natural feel that you get. So you're
a realtor by trade.
Yes.
Normally, are you still doing that? Are you still
active? Very much so. Very much so, Andrew. I've been diving into the development stuff, but I still do the real estate every day. I have a business partner, Erin Scott, and her and I teamed up because I do split my time between things. So there's always one of us fully available for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some really good success, even in this tough market. Like the market's not been great for everybody. As you probably have heard, there's 10, 20 offers on a place, and only one person wins the house. And then there's all those other people to go to the next house, and there's constant battles. So we've had some really good success. We sold a duplex, actually. It was a Victorian style duplex to some clients. They were looking for a flip property. It was their first one. And there were 6 offers. Even with 6 offers, we won. We got it at a good price. So they paid $450 for that. And they're going to put probably about $200K in renovations. And he's going to be his own general contractor. And then I guess after it's all complete, you're probably looking at $875 to about a $950 sale price.
Yeah, it's interesting to even hear you say you can get a duplex for 400 grand. Where are you getting a duplex for 400 grand?
Right. Yeah. So even every market, there's a deal, right? And I think if you have like the right agents that are looking every single day that kind of do this for a living, those are the ones that find the deals. And we kind of pushed up and got that offer done pretty quickly too. Right. So you can kind of bully some stuff. There was another property we had for another client. He's a first-time investor. This is a home run for him. And he was looking for a duplex. So we found a duplex and we got a deal done the same day it got listed. He purchased it for 700 grand. He's looking at probably about 25 grand in renovations. He's going to do paint, some light fixtures, new faucet, that type of thing. And when he's complete, it's going to have an $850,000 value. So he's going to make about 125K in equity, buying it and doing, all that work in 30 days.
Yeah, just doing a little bit.
That's like unheard of these days to find a deal like that.
I've really never bought a deal, I don't think, that just needed lipstick. I'm waiting for the day that I buy a deal that just needs lipstick. Actually, I'm looking at one now that
I've never done one of those.
Yeah, it's a building where the rents are just so under that I'll just Well, just boost the rents
Yeah.
by turning over tenants. And so I am looking at one like that now, but I've never to this day done that. Always getting so involved in the problem I find with construction, and this is why I was asking you, is it just takes so much time to be your own GC. It takes so much
Oh
focus.
yeah.
I'm really growing my team now, and bringing in key pieces that can sort of
Yeah.
take the entire management of it off. But as I do that, that builds the cost of doing that. And, now
Yeah.
we have to compare, is it better for me to do that or hire the GC?
Yeah. Like what's your value per hour, right? If
Yeah.
you're spending, depending what you're spending,
Yeah.
like I started with a builder on this house, and unfortunately shortly into it, he wasn't able to do it. So I jumped in and ended up being the GC and built my house.
So what was the agreement? Because I think I recommended the guy that you were working with to
Yes.
you. So what was the agreement that you had with him that allowed you to exit that contract midway?
He just had like a flat fee, and for personal reasons, he wasn't able to do it. And I didn't have any recourse or anything against him. Like that was totally understandable for what was happening. And
So
yeah,
did
we
he
just
just prorate the fee and say we're about 30% done?
yeah. He
Yeah.
got paid for his time, and then I kind of jumped in and took over
Yeah.
from there.
Cool. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's people and people. I don't
Yeah.
think residential construction is rocket science. It's
No.
it's something that
Although it's definitely a learning experience, especially when you're building an architectural home, with your flat roofs, parapets, and lining up sight lines. It's pretty intricate.
It's a lot of time is what it is. It's not that you can't figure it out. It's how much time do you got? And it's just hard to know how you do all these things. Like having that, I guess the newspaper building doesn't take up that much of your time, right? Like a lot of it is delegated.
No, because I have a full-time builder there.
Yeah, it's delegated.
He's handling that. So
yeah,
I'm spending a lot of time on the phone, I guess, and behind the computer dealing with the lender. The gentleman that has to make sure we're on track so he can release funds to us.
Yeah, that's basically, kind of quarterbacking it, right? But the more of those things you can hand off, like nowadays, like I look for absolutely anything I can hand off, even if it would only save me like 10% of the time it would take me to do it myself. I'm sending it off to my assistant just so I get in the habit. And
I saw that you have an assistant now.
Yeah, now she like is learning how to do all these things that I used to do all the time, so that she can kind of just add it into her list. Yeah, she's been doing great. It's actually been that's been a really hard thing for me to just make that transition, but finally I think having a son forced me to realize that
reevaluate priorities at the moment.
It's either I have a mental breakdown and just quit everything, or I find a way. And Kyle Ford, put it in very similar words when I was interviewing him a little while back. It was either shut it down or scale it up. That was really the two options. And obviously shut it down isn't a true option. So
no, you're doing good.
It's about time. Yeah, I think a lot of people say that, and I don't particularly feel that I'm actually doing that good compared to a lot of people I interview.
Well, we all think we can do more than we do.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, we're all running individual races. We were all raised a certain way. We're all dealing with certain personal issues or whatever's going on in your life, and we have different paths.
Right. I think for me, like I haven't felt any urgency in a long time.
No.
And I think that was really my biggest enemy, is there was no urgency. I kind of take it as it goes. Whereas now I look at it and I'm like, I want, when the time matters most, when my son's, a little bit older and he's like, where's dad? Can dad, can you do this? Or can you read me a bedtime story or something like that? I don't want to say, no, I've got work to do. So I'd rather
want a bit of freedom.
Work my butt off now. While I can, when Jordan's on mat leave, and really set the pieces and the systems up so that I can be there. And that's
awesome.
Kids are, a lot of people say kids are their why and stuff. And like, certainly great motivation. I'll tell you that.
That's good.
Yeah. So definitely, for sure. But what are you doing on a daily basis? Like, again, I get at this time thing because you seem to have time to do all these things. I haven't even touched on all your stuff. I know you're doing some other interesting things. What does your average day look like?
So my average day, I'm not much of a morning person, so I probably get out of bed around 9. Come downstairs, kind of make breakfast and open my laptop and and start kind of going through emails at that point. And then I'll kind of move from there. I'll go to, shower, come downstairs and go into my office. And every day I probably spend a lot of time in there. It's split between that and then on the road with Aaron, kind of doing real estate stuff where we have to go do for showings and
are you still doing showings yourself?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we'll do stuff together. Okay. Sometimes I'll show, but a lot of times we like to do it together. It's a good dynamic, actually.
Okay.
When you have two people doing it. But then I have a development appointments around that stuff too. So like Monday, I have to go into St. Thomas to meet the kitchen guy for the building, because we're going to go through all the apartments and kind of figure out, what those layouts exactly are going to look like now that we're at that framing stage, talking about colors. I met the designer a few days ago for the building, and she's actually redoing some of the stuff we had already worked on to pick the flooring and stuff. So she's revamping backsplash, everything, because we're trying to do that like an Art Deco style, something that you don't typically see. Yeah. But we want it to be like kind of an elegant place that has a nice presence about it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty cool. So that's part, that's one day, right? So I guess it's a mix of realtor stuff.
It's a mix, yeah. Every day is different, which is nice.
Okay. Do you have somebody helping you on the admin side?
I do, yeah. Like Erin has been doing a little bit of development stuff with me, so I can give her credit for that. So when I get kind of overwhelmed because there's a lot of checks to write, I just finished building my house, so there was a lot of people to pay there. We got to manage all the accounts for the building. So that's under construction, right? So the apartment building. And then I have another house about to start next door. So I'm going to start building that one. And I'm working with an architect right now, and we're doing the plans for another house I'm going to do. That's going to be about 2,700 square feet. So
nice. Yeah. I don't think you'll be building at $167 a square foot.
No, that one's going to be a bit more. Yeah. That's for sure.
Those days are slightly in the past, a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Just lumber and things like that have just changed that story a little bit. But
yeah, just to give you some context on that, Andrew, the house next door is 2,000 square feet. And like you said, this one I built, this is 4,200 square feet, but that house next door is costing me even more than this one was.
Right. Yeah. Build. Even being much smaller. The one you're in, what do you figure that would go for if you listed it?
1.4, 1.5, I think, somewhere in there.
Still really affordable for a 4,200 square foot house. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if it was in like one of those downtown areas of London with kind of a view of the river, you'd be over 2 million. So it's a good deal for what you're getting. That's for sure.
That in Burlington would be worth like 5 million. I don't know, like something insane.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous.
Something crazy.
Yeah. Just insane how these markets have gone. But okay. So you have, tell me what else, like kind of high level you're working on right now.
High level? Meaning?
Well, I mean, rental properties you got in your portfolio, other builds, I guess, I guess these are the ones that your prime focus.
Yeah.
So it's the newspaper building and
the newspaper building. Just finished my house. I got those 2 house builds right now.
Yeah.
And then I've really started looking into investing in the States and how I want to do that. So I'm probably gonna have to take a few trips down there and figure out how I'm going to, or what I want to break into. Cause I'm really into like building this house was really cool. And Austin, Texas, for example, there is incredible architecture there that sells over $10 million. So to get into a market like that, where I could really, build with the vision that I have, I think would be, very lucrative and very rewarding for myself to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's I love what you've done. I mean, I definitely want to do that one day where we just from scratch build our own home and get fancy. As a builder, I don't like fancy because fancy means quadruple the cost of everything, quadruple the back orders. Just super unique means you're going to wait for it, you're going to pay for it. And as a production builder, which I've typically been, I don't like that stuff. Yeah. But it certainly is fun. I mean, you got, unique light fixtures, your windows and doors are really nice. And obviously, and those aren't that big of an upgrade. Those are some of the more affordable things that you could do that don't really necessarily cause, the back orders and such.
Yeah. It's the specialty tile you have to order from Italy, like that type of,
we were looking at our laundry room, and we had a suggestion for an $11 a square foot tile for a 300 square foot space. I'm like, that's not reasonable. That's
Oh
not
my
reasonable.
gosh,
We
yeah.
can't be spending that kind of money on a laundry room.
And here I'm going to be putting, I think it's $14 a square foot into my basement bathroom.
Well,
It's
that's a
this
small
terrazzo
space.
looking.
Yeah.
It's small, yeah,
Yeah.
but holy crap, is it going to be expensive to
It
do?
adds up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
wow.
backsplashes and stuff, I'm cool with. You pay that because they're just small spaces. You're like 40, 50 square
Right.
feet, whatever. Accent pieces, yes, pay for that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the urges I have to fight, when I'm doing construction, is I don't want to get into those type of things. But as a rental property owner, I don't want my stuff to look like every other piece of rental property on the market, which everybody's doing. The gray vinyl plank floors, they're doing the white cabinets, the stone top, and the stainless steel appliances. That's easy to do, right? It's nice. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just eventually that's going to just blend in. So it's cool if you can find a way to make it unique and still affordable, which I think you have a way of doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's definitely ways to find those deals. Try and stay away from the 12 by 24 inch tile that everybody puts in every house. But if you want to get creative, you just have to kind of go outside of some of the areas, go to, some of those flooring places that might not be in downtown London where they're really expensive. Go, to Ingersoll or just some of the outside smaller towns and do a little legwork, and you can always find products that make it work.
Right. And I'm with you there. So as long as you can delegate most of your day-to-day or be very, very organized, then you got time for that kind of thing. Like I like actually, and I've said this before, I like framing a wall or, framing in a basement, but I'm not good at it. And I'm certainly not a good return on my time, but it's kind of fun. And, for stuff like that, for designing, I think that's one of those things. It's hard to put a dollar figure on what it adds, but
like a theater room, for example, right? Like you can spend 30 grand on a theater room, but I think I did mine for like less than 10 grand. I hired a guy. We did all the trim work inside, the crown molding. I bought the speakers, but my IT guy wired it, and he provided the 4K projector, put in a little bar down there. But so if you were to go and hire a company to come and do all that, it's 30 grand. But if you kind of do it yourself and you're a little resourceful and creative, you can totally do stuff under budget.
Again, it's all time, right? But I agree with you. You got to find a way to at least have your finger on the pulse, right? You don't have to do all these things yourselves, but you do need to know how much more you're paying if you're hiring it out. Like, what is this costing me versus if I were to source things myself? And sometimes it makes sense to do it yourself. I'm slowly working my way back to that feeling like that. But with everything going on, a new kid, that makes it a little harder, but you know what? Things are starting to normalize a little bit. But anyways, Steve, it's always interesting talking to you. Where would we want to send people if they wanted to follow up with you or follow your journey?
Definitely. I encourage people, if you guys are investors or you're looking to get into the market, whether you're a first time or even a seasoned investor, I've been doing it for quite a while, and I'm very well versed in stuff. So you could check out our Instagram page. It's Steve and Aaron Sell. And then the Facebook is Steve and Aaron Sell as well. And we do have a website. It's steveandaaronsell.com. So if you guys go on there, you can definitely get in touch with me.
Yeah. So I'll post those links in the show notes of this episode. So if people want to reach out to you, they can. And is there anything you wish that I'd asked you that I haven't asked you?
No, I think you covered everything. And I want to say, congratulations with all your success on this podcast and the value you provide for people. I've had people reach out to me and they've become clients because they listen to what you guys talk about on your show, and it's really cool to see how things are working out for you.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting perspective because you're the third episode, and I always tell people to go right back to the beginning.
Yeah,
because that's how you learn, right? And in that episode, what we dove into numbers, we get really technical, especially early on in this podcast. It did all that, right? So you're in that playlist of number 3. So
that's cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you must get a lot of people.
I do, and it's really cool for them to come work with us and have some success in real estate themselves.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this, and thanks for the kind words. I think this turned into something that I was hoping it would turn into, and I'm grateful. We've got a really good listener base and audience, and what I just come on here and talk about real estate and ask questions I would have asked anyway. So it actually works out pretty well.
That's
I get
awesome.
my
Well,
answers and so does everybody else.
Yeah, it was nice to catch up with you.
Yeah, buddy. I really hope I can come see that house face to face at some point. So
sounds good.
We'll leave it there. And Steve, thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Please make sure to share this episode far and wide. Help it help more people. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you on the next one.